All right, welcome to Uncle Legend's Corner. I'll be your host, Uncle Legend, and with me always is my beautiful co-host, Call Girl Six, better known as Fox.
Hey y'all, what's going on?
We out here.
Make sure we see you guys and everything. All right, we got you going. So how y'all doing today?
Yeah, you ever look at something and like there's so-called proven science behind it. People say that it's 100% true and that there's science behind it, and just be like, nah, I don't believe that shit.
Yeah.
What is it for you?
No, I don't want to talk about that. Do you remember we were talking about the chicken and the eggs?
Jesus. So regardless of the science, you don't want to believe that if the hens lay eggs every day. No, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this. This is gonna be talked about. So for those of you, there's a lot of people who don't know this, but if a hen has an egg, hens lay eggs like damn near every day in warm weather. So I mean, you got chickens that lay about 300 eggs a year. They might fuck around and knock out two in one day, on a good day, and then they start slowing up in the winter. So if they have an egg, that egg is not a baby chicken unless a rooster got a hold of her and inseminated the egg. Now, my wife doesn't believe this to be true.
Look, I didn't believe it to be true. I do now.
Do you? You looking real like I do now because it seems like everybody agree and the world is flat. Like, is that what we at?
Look, man.
Do you truly believe that when the chicken has an egg, the chicken has an egg? Do you think that baby chickens is just popping out of that shit every day? Pop, 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 just baby chicken, baby chicken.
No, I don't believe that anymore.
Why don't you believe that?
I just don't, because it makes sense. It's like
what makes
ovulation. So
this is what I tried to tell her and one of the girls, and they both looking at me like I'm crazy. So I tried to explain it like women drop an egg. They drop some eggs, but it gets shredded up and everything else on the uterine wall because we're not fucking birds. We're mammals. But you have an egg, and that egg doesn't produce a baby, right? No, because ain't no sperm on it. Same thing with chicken eggs. No. So it was like, so that means if you just leave all the eggs in there, if you don't put the eggs in the refrigerator, you're just gonna have chickens in the house. That's what you thought? Like if you don't put them in the refrigerator, it's just gonna be
because some of those yolks have like little umbilical cords and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is that?
First of all,
so how do you explain that?
How do you explain what?
A little squiggly umbilical cord.
Because maybe a rooster got a hold of them. But the thing about
so it was a baby then.
It might have been a baby, but you also got to think about the fact that sometimes there might be a rooster get a hold of them. And then sometimes, depending on who you get them from, maybe they don't have a really good process of making sure to keep the hens from the roosters. So if you get them in there, what really doesn't matter is if you get that motherfucker cold enough, guess what ain't going to come out of it? That's why the mama sits on the egg. So even if they go ahead and knock it up with like duck eggs, you pull them out, you wash them, do everything to them, the eggs ain't going to have no baby ducks out of them.
Yeah.
That shit's balut. Send it to Thailand, Philippines or something. So for me, it's something that I still currently believe. Like you say, you don't believe anymore about the fucking allegedly that you've fucking seen the truth about chicken eggs. My thing is this. So I was listening to something earlier, and it said that a man's G-spot is in his asshole. That's gay propaganda.
That's what you think?
It's fucking gay propaganda. I don't give a fuck what the science say. Or none of that shit. I think it's gay propaganda. Yo, I'm gonna tell you like this. Think about it. I have a bowel movement like at least three times a day. I'm telling you right now. If my G-spot was in my ass, I'd be coming all over myself in the bathroom. Like I shit 3 times a day.
I mean, I don't know what you're doing.
Like
I'm there for quite a while. You've been there quite a while.
Yeah, that's because that's every man spend a lot of time in the bathroom because we hide from my wife and kids. But that's what every man do. But I'm talking about. I don't believe that shit. I think it's gay propaganda. I think it's like some gateway shit that they like some. It's like some old gay dude telling a young straight dude like, hey, G-spot in your asshole.
Johnny Poop.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Hey, you want to hit that next level? Yeah.
Oh my God, you too much.
No, I think that shit is gay propaganda, bro. And no, don't come try to prove it to me. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want. No, I don't need to see the pictures. I don't care what science says or who says it or who backs it. Fucking Fauci, whoever. I am not buying that shit. Men been busting a nut the same way for years. I don't need no new way to bust a nut. Gay propaganda. I don't give a fuck what the science say. I'm not trying to go at the LGBT community, get canceled and all the other shit. But there's snakes in everybody's grass, including the LGBT community. And I just feel like that's gay propaganda.
I think so.
Leave my prostate alone.
Well,
I don't want my shit. No, my heart of hearts. How do you know a dude going when you locked your windows or something like that because you saw some seedy individuals coming down the street? How you know they was gonna do something? You just felt it in your spirit.
And that's what you feel in your
My spirit say that's gay propaganda. Say whatever the fuck you want. I'm standing on that shit too.
All right, that's fine. I mean, if anybody else in the chat who knows otherwise, let us hear your experience.
And I don't care. So just so you know, when you bring whatever heat you got, you can bring science. You can put a whole little chart and everything.
Homophobic right now.
That's not homophobic. I'm just saying that I think it's gay propaganda. You could do whatever you want, but don't be trying to tell. I don't believe that shit. If you want to be gay, fine. You can love whoever you want. I don't care.
You who say there's science that actually backs these things up. There's science that actually backs these things up, and now you don't believe it.
It's science that say that the fucking world is flat.
So you don't believe in your science.
I don't believe in all science, especially under that propaganda science.
I mean, how would you know? Test the theory and find
out.
No,
some theories will never, and that shit ain't even a hypothesis here. Call it what you want. This ain't a homophobic. I'm good.
David says what he missed. Okay.
Go ahead, tell him what he missed.
So basically, he has a rant, and he was talking about how, there are some things in science that you just don't believe. So we were talking about the chicken and the egg, because I didn't believe that that all the chickens, when the chicken hatched their eggs, that they're not babies, that they all are babies. That's what I thought.
She thought basically if a hen have an egg and it don't get fertilized, it don't matter. Like if a hen have an egg, that shit's a baby. Like that's what she thought. It don't got to be. You don't need no rooster. Just one hen.
Because I see them
dumping them shits out.
Umbilical cords in there. I'm like, what the hell am I eating?
Still scrambling. Cheese.
What is this?
Salt, pepper. Crunchy.
But so he was talking about that, and then he was talking about a science that he don't believe in, which is the science that says that males have a G-spot in their rectum. So
gay propaganda.
He believes it's gay propaganda. That's what he believes. I'm like, well, it's a theory. There's only one way to find out.
Guess what?
So test the theory and see what happens.
I guess the world will never know.
Never know.
Let me tell you how y'all gonna have to find out.
I plead the fifth.
Oh. F-I-F. Fifth.
Tell us about it. David.
Go on, tell us about it. You know what, brother? Ain't testing that over here.
Oh, okay. You might plead the fifth like you know something about it.
He'll be like, I don't want to divulge insider trading information right. And shit. Like, what we saying over here, homie? But no, I just like I don't know. I don't believe it, and I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings. So somebody getting all butthurt about it, well, then go further butthurt and touch your G-spot. Ask Ash about it.
We should have had Ash on here.
And I would, I would have told him straight to his face. It's gay propaganda.
Ash, he was on our other podcast we did about the whole day.
Ash is so funny.
Representing for
the gays. Yeah. My boy Ash said he's like, oh, you got me because I was the token gay. I'm like,
yeah, he was.
Nah, he was like, don't. He was actually a friend and happy to be gay, and then it was like spreads the demographic. He like, oh, so I'm a white small gay. Ash funny as hell.
He's a trip. But anyway, yeah. So that's his theory. What did David say? That ain't something I'm a comment
I'm out
because I don't need.
Don't worry. Don't worry. You see these shoulders right here? Today was shoulder day, and I will carry the load of misogyny and homophobia or whatever else they're gonna say it is. But
oh my Lord, that's where we are right now.
Gotta get that out.
That's where we are right now, guys. So
I need to oil that.
You do need to oil it.
The first time you move that thing,
Okay. So anyway, guys, the topic for the day is
propaganda.
No, it's not. It's not propaganda. What else do you think is propaganda then? Oh Lord, it's a whole.
Hold on, you want me to get my bag about propaganda?
Oh my jeez.
Let me tell you something. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to say the exact term because people will take it funny. But name some punches that you could throw.
What do you mean punches?
Like a hook,
boxing, jab, uppercut.
Propaganda about the jab.
What's about the jab?
You know what the jab is?
What?
Never mind, Fox. I forgot one more.
What the jab?
Dinosaurs? All right, you don't believe in dinosaurs? This boy don't believe in Pangea.
Dinosaurs are.
Yeah, what I will tell you.
Worse than me. Number one, let's get that all the way out the gate.
First of all, do you know that chickens are like the closest relatives to T-Rexes?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I told you that. You believe that though?
No, I saw some. You say that, but then I saw something.
Don't matter if I said it. Long as somebody on TV said that shit that went to community college. I swear to goodness, man. I think men could testify to this. You could tell your wife something, and it be your expertise. Like I could tell my wife some shit about this is how a submarine works, and she'd be like, "Man, that sounds crazy. I don't know if that's possible." And then she'll see some shit on A&E and be like, "Babe, you know what is true about this and that?" That motherfucker ain't never been on a submarine. This is how EOD work. This is what it's like being deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan. Man, that sounds crazy, babe. Then she watch Saving Private Ryan or some shit. Babe,
did you know?
Did you know? No. I wasn't out there with an Italian bolt action. Like no. Like women won't believe you. You could tell them whatever you want. They're like, You want a man because he's smart. You want a man because he's smart. You want him to know all of this stuff and this and that. Then when he tell you that shit,
have a propaganda, other agenda too, leading us the wrong way. We gotta make sure. That's it.
Women got a propaganda.
Fact check. That's all I'm saying.
Women got a propaganda.
I believe it. Then come to find out that was wrong. That was wrong. They told me this shit, and I look stupid.
We be listening to y'all all the time and be out here being dumb. This is women all the time. Let me had a not new shit about farming and had to listen to you tell me about chicken. You were like, yeah, baby, every one of them things is a chicken. Oh, yeah. And I would have went out here, hey, man, this and that. And all my boys would be like, yo, shut your dumb ass up, Yankee. And the worst part about it is like, if I don't know some shit, I don't even bullshit. If you don't know some shit, but your opinion hasn't been challenged, you'll let that shit fire. You'll let that shit fly like, well, this and that, da. Well, how you know that? I just know.
I just know.
Space program, Bigfoot, Area 51. Sorry, I got time. I'm on dude. That's the hell I'm talking about.
Okay.
Bigfoot. Let me tell you something. Bigfoot. I just think I'm not saying that there's not a Bigfoot. I just think that Bigfoot is more like a species of like some weird monkey thing that maybe we might not know what it is. Possibly.
Who was telling us that they saw Bigfoot?
AJ.
Oh, it was AJ. Yeah. AJ said that. He saw Bigfoot. I can't discount his experience because I wasn't there.
I don't know. I seen some lumberjacks in Eastern Washington. Them motherfuckers look like Bigfoot.
Scared the hell out of him. He was and he came too. So, I don't know. I can't discount
why Bigfoot always hiding too? Like, probably because we'll throw his ass in a cage. You know what time it is. You know how we get down. Area 51. So, like, that means like you don't believe in aliens or you don't believe that there's an Area 51. Like, how far is we going? Bigfoot is just Caesar cousin that ran away from Planet of the Apes.
Listen, I don't know. Listen, I would say when I was on that plane, we're going, you was knocked out though. I told you I saw it was up near the mountain somewhere. Oh no, it was like a clay dirt, so probably desert, right? When we was flying over. And I saw some stuff that was shining. People had lights and all kind of stuff in the middle of nowhere.
That might have been Burning Man.
What?
Burning Man.
What the hell?
They go in the middle of the desert and a whole bunch of like drunk ass like white people just go out there and do drugs and
no. These were shiny things. These were very shiny. Like it was all in one little area. And I'm like, what the hell are these people doing out here?
You sure it wasn't just because you cut all the blood circulation off to your leg because you still had your knee brace on?
No, it was I'm like, these people, this is something that's hidden from obviously all of us because it's in the middle of nowhere. We flew over it. I saw it. And I'm looking at you like, get up. You don't see this? He was knocked out. So I don't know.
Must have been the shiny things put me sleep. Shiny things and shit.
Yeah, it came bounced off, the plane. Like I wish I could see what it was, but I couldn't. It was like domes and all kind of stuff down there in that area. I don't know where we were flying over at the time, but it was near the mountains. I know that. So and we're going west. So
they would have got you up out of here. They would have fired. They would have shot you.
I don't know, but it looked kind of sneaky to me. So I don't know. Maybe there was a certain area where they had other things going on that wasn't the public wasn't privy to. So
Possibly. All right, you don't believe in dinosaurs, so what you think fossil fuel come from?
let's see. Okay, so our answer that will David says this may sound weird, but I feel turbulence if just propaganda. What?
I feel turbulence is just propaganda to scare people about flying.
Okay.
Hats off to you, man. I don't know. That's a little too tinfoily for me, my brother. A little too tinfoily.
Explain that one. You're gonna have to explain.
I think he's saying that like turbulence, like it don't really happen, but it makes sense that turbulence will happen. That turbulence will happen because I don't know. I've been in the ocean a lot, and I've flown in smaller planes that aren't as friendly at like 10,000 feet. You know what I'm saying? And wind come and toss shit around. Like wind does that. Like kites don't just fly normal. So I don't know. Wind be whipping. You get enough wind or something like that. I don't know. I ain't with that one. All right, you think that dinosaurs is made up?
Bad weather too. So.
All right, you think dinosaurs is made up? Like now, I believe that a lot of dinosaurs were actually birds. Like a T-Rex, I think that motherfucker was a bird, big ass bird.
What grade did you get in science class when they were talking about dinosaurs? I'm wondering.
Art, they excuse Art from the class. Art was little Art was in there, 8 years old. Ain't no damn dinosaurs. Ain't no damn dinosaurs.
Art was like, they ain't make me take it. I ain't take it.
I ain't take no damn science.
I ain't take it.
I got a religious waiver for somebody just gave me the down frown. That's probably Art.
Let me see who that was. Let me see who frowned upon us. Oh, you're frowning upon us.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you frowning upon us?
Don't be acting like that. Who you frowning?
Oh, you didn't. What grade did you get?
Oh,
did you not believe in that? Let's talk.
Hop on in here, best friend.
Let's talk.
Fox's best friend. I'm trying to be. It was a big ass lizard. You think a T-Rex is a big ass lizard? I don't know if it makes sense for that to be a big ass lizard. You walking on your hind legs like a chicken. You got these little ass arms that look like wings, like a chicken. Can't fly like a chicken. Arms can't really reach your mouth like a chicken.
There was some kind of documentary that were stating that that they were close.
And then you see certain birds, man. Well, like the castle, was it Castlereagh? Castles? I gotta look it up. It's a castle something. I'm talking about that bird is still a dinosaur. Like that shit reminds you dinosaurs is real. Like, and now there's some that I believe didn't. That were lizards, right? Like anything like an alligator, you can't tell me the alligators long ago wasn't no dinosaur. Like them shits look exactly like whatever their long distance cousin was that was murking shit. Like
they show
very
a depiction of, what they believe it to look like, and so it looks like what we have here now. So I wonder if it even looked like that to begin with.
You said what?
They have what we see, what we think dinosaurs would look like, is sort of what we have now, like the alligators, etc. So I'm thinking maybe that's not even what they actually look like.
Look at it, a cassowary. Look at it. Look at him and tell me that ain't a velociraptor.
Yeah, that does look like a raptor.
He's a raptor, bro.
Okay, David says, what does David say?
110 years ago, we just learned how to fly. Now we are this far advanced in technology. Came from somewhere. So I don't know, man. So a lot of science don't really add up, and we just accept it for what it is. That's why, like now, I really believe. Like I hate to say this, like a bunch of these like internet nerds and shit like that, but you got to kind of like look and like research things for yourself, and then research, is 50, 90, right? 50% chance you're right, 50% there's a 50% chance is left, 50% chance is right, 90% chance you're gonna pick the wrong fucking answer. But when I started looking into this, and me and my little brother started looking into like more like the biblical science and kind of tying how a lot of that stuff goes together as far as science about how we had technology, lost technology, and it's starting to make a whole lot of sense. So science itself isn't a bunch of opinions, but there's a lot of opinions about science. All right, so like when people talk about science, it's like science itself is solid, right? Like science is the only way to find the truth about something, because science is the most reasonable way to be like, does this work like this? All right, I'm gonna try it. And then some dude 100 miles that way gonna try it. Then the dude 10,000 miles that way gonna try it. You know what I mean? Then the dude over here gonna try it. And then if we all get similar results to the point where we can excuse the variables, Then that shit, then we start moving up from hypothesis and so forth on until we get to, you know what I mean, facts. But I believe in science. I just believe that the sad part about science is some of it gets so complicated, and it's just like a lot of things with administration and taxes and stuff like that, that we just, people done made it so complicated that it's too hard for the average person to be like, oh, okay. Like when people are like, oh man, you got to do the science. Like it's always wild to me. Like when people be talking about, like, even when they was talking about getting that damn shot that tore the country in half, right? People be talking about, and they're like, oh, well, just do the science. It's like the scientists are saying this and that.
Now what the science
Shut
says.
up. It's anyway, like, you know what I mean? It's like story. Based off of what? It's like you can't name me 10 things off the periodic table and you about to sit here and talk to me about some goddamn what the scientists said. All right, yeah, whatever. Like, so I don't know. I believe in the science. I do understand that there's a lot of bullshit with the scientific community, and that's because they're just like every other community. You throw some money their way, throw some grants or something like that. They get out. What's the mathematics, bro?
All right, so what's today's math?
What's the mathematics, brother?
All right.
You about to out me as a 5%. Come on. We got something else to do.
So today, anyway, the original topic before we got on this rant of his.
Propaganda.
About what's supposed to be propaganda. But no, we were talking about labeling. David says they can have science prove whatever you want it to. It can be adjusted to show what you want, like statistics, right?
The thing about it is that statistics. So if you adjust the science, that's unethical. That's not science, right? That's bullshit. Statistics, on the other hand, don't really have to be adjusted. You just take a different number. Like if you wanted to say that black people get shot more by the police than you would do it by capita. If you wanted to say that white people got shot more by the police than you do it by total number, because we're black people 14% of the population. So there's going to be more white people shot. We're just shot more by capita, which you would look at and be like, oh, that's a better inkling to look. But then if you looked at just the raw numbers of white people shot by the police versus black people, then you would go with, oh, well, white people get shot more, right? So that's not actually adjusting the statistics. That's just using a different statistic to get it. But when you adjust variables intentionally, that's unethical science, and that's not science. That's bullshit. Like that's bullshit that's driven by propaganda. That's not science. Because one of the biggest things about the scientific community is like, it's kind of like with journalism and a couple other things where you just, the only way you can get the truth is if people have ethics. So it is what it is.
Knowledge, power, refinement, all being born to equality. All right. What do you think about when you hear labeling?
Two things I think about is that I hate labels from one point because like people use really broad labels. Like for instance, like people say, oh, you own a bunch of guns, you must be a Republican. Or something that's like, that's a really broad label to put me under, right? Or, oh, you must be right wing, or you believe in this and that, or you believe in whatever for the black community. Like you believe that if the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma should get reparations or whatever from the bombing Black Wall Street, so you must be a liberal. And it's like, these are just really broad labels. So I hate broad labels, but I do understand the necessity of labels because there's just too many things in the world to not label anything. Because we couldn't even have a conversation for me to be able to describe something to you to be like, hey, we have two. Well, I don't want to label them as dogs over there, and I don't want to label as color. Yeah, like I couldn't even tell you. Well, just like at a basic level of survival, right? If it was to be like, hey, something over there killed 3 people from the village, and you're like, what it look like? And I'm like, well, I don't want to label it as tall. Well, I don't want to label it as scary. I don't want to label it as claw. Like, what am I going to label it? No, it was it was this tall, had claws, scary as fuck, shoot up the homie.
Right.
Get your spears, let's go. You know what I mean? So
it really
labels are required.
But it does limit a thing or a person or whatever it is you're talking about.
I think if you use a broad label.
Period. Do you know what I mean? It's like you saying whatever it is, even about yourself. Like if you mess up something, whatever it might be, something in a relationship, something family member, something at work. Damn, I fucked up. Damn, I'm stupid. You know, like you labeled yourself. So we label ourselves all the time, right? And so I think that soon we probably have to get to a place where we're conscious of what it is that we're telling ourselves, like our self-talk, right?
So labeling and self-talk, that's kind of like going into a gray area, another area, you know what I'm saying? Like when we get into self-talk about what you say to yourself, because self-talk, like that's a lot more. When I think of labels, I'm thinking about like a noun.
Yeah, but not
or
like
adjective that
not like you still label yourself every time. We do it all the time. So it prevents us, if we have a bad label for ourselves, a negative connotation, whatever it might be, right? That's still a part of our self-talk, whatever it is that we call ourselves, whatever it is that we, yeah.
So then that's a different, I guess that's different, because I was looking at labeling from like, how do I feel about labeling in general? Mm-hmm. So I don't like, even with that, if you're doing your self-talk, if your self-talk, if your labeling is beneficial and uplifting to you, then I don't see that as a problem. I see the thing is that if we use labels, we have to use labels efficiently and not try to use catch-alls, right? Like you can't just say I'm stupid, right? Like that, because that's a broad label to say like, oh, you're just fucking dumb. Like you don't know anything. You don't understand the process. You don't do this and that, right? But what happens with a label is like, if I just say like, I was what's the word? Excuse me. I was complacent, which caused this issue. I was complacent in this issue because we are saying that we're signaling it down to this event. And that is just factual. That's not tearing myself down. Me saying I'm dumb, which sometimes I say that shit, I'm like, fuck, I'm stupid. I know I'm not stupid. I'm smarter than fucking 90% of the people I know. But at least, I think I might be. What you think?
Continue.
I got a big ego. Nah, but that's because she told me that. She bigged me up. Now she just tearing me apart right here.
That's not what I'm doing.
But no, so I think like when if you say something bad about yourself, I think it's not like, you got to get away from saying bad stuff and say things that are like factual, right? Like if you're overweight, say, man, I'm 30 pounds overweight. That's a factual statement. That's not pushing your subconscious mind to go anywhere, to do anything. That's just a factual statement. I'm 30 pounds overweight. All right, well, I'm 30 pounds overweight.
How we develop our talk with ourselves, basically.
Yeah, I think
how we label ourselves is different.
Well, I think it's about specifying what it is. Like just saying I'm a piece of shit, or just saying I'm fat, or just saying I'm dumb, or just saying I'm ugly. That's what can you? How do you fix that? You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody just tell you I'm ugly, fix that. And you like. Now, if a person told you
the way your face look, like, that's a lot.
Yeah, like this person just said I'm ugly, but if a person said I'm overweight, fix it. Like a person just called you on the phone, Fox, I'm overweight. You'd be like, well, if a person said, hey, I'm 30 pounds overweight and I was thinking about starting running, I have no hiccups about running, like knees good, back good, this and that, da 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 da. I was thinking about it. You can actually give some advice. You can actually help that situation. When the person just be like, I'm fat and I'm a piece of shit. You're like, well,
that solves it. That's it.
Well, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Like, it's so limiting. Like there's nowhere to go after we have that conversation or after we make that statement about ourselves.
So I think like almost like clicking back to the science, we got to be like scientific about it, where it's like use your labels. Use as many labels as you need to specify what you need to specify. Don't use broad labels when it comes down to people, when it comes down to things, when it comes down to events. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? As many details as necessary to clearly describe the point that you're trying to get across, right? Within reason.
Some people would say, like I don't want to do labels. I don't do labels. I don't have labels, but it's kind of impossible in a way.
It's too many things in the world to not label. Imagine something. If nothing had a label. Right. And then if I was to ask you, hey, I was to walk up to my homeboy and be like, hey, what she look like?
All these gestures.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be crazy. Right. That'd be crazy because we didn't put a label on instead of just telling me, yo, she like 5'9", she got a fat ass, she hit the gym. Didn't like, okay, boom. But all of that is a visual. Now telling me like, oh, she's horrible. Like just saying she's horrible is like that's wild. It's like, did she look horrible? Did she kill a puppy? Like what is horrible, right? So we got to be specifying about the labels, right? Like people always want to go with this, and a lot of people would like a lot of the stuff they say about like pronouns and different things. Oh, I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to be labeled. But you're just giving yourself a different label. You're just making it broader so that more shit can fit in there. Like I don't like for people to ask me like about political things and say like, oh, like when I was saying about like, oh, well, you're this, well, you're that. Right. Well, it doesn't matter what I do. What matters is like, this is how I feel on this topic, because it's the same way when people ask you like what you do for a living. They ask you that shit so they know what type of respect to give you. And when people ask you about certain labels, they ask you that so they know how to handle you. Like they ask you that and they be like, oh, so you're a liberal. And they be like, oh, well, yeah, I'm a liberal. And they're like, oh, this, and they automatically gonna make some
Formulate
assumptions.
the
This motherfucker don't
judgment.
like guns.
There's
This
the
motherfucker's for
judgment.
abortion. This and that. And if you be like, oh, well, you're a Republican or you right wing or something like that. Yeah, well, I'm right wing. I'm Republican or I'm a centrist or whatever. Oh,
The
well, he like
labels-
guns and
so
he,
the
well,
labels kind of give way to formulate that
To
opinion and or
prejudice.
judgment. Yeah,
it forms a way
Judge
into
people,
prejudice
that's why.
because people just want to throw it in and they hold on to these identities, and that's part of what we talked about before about the tribalism. The labels form the tribalism because it's like you didn't have many labels to go. Like even if you just had two words in a tribe and it was like us and them,
yeah,
you knew that this is us and that's them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We might have to fuck them up, but if you with us, you with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's natural human nature to label things. I just think that we're at a arc of intelligence where we have to understand that one, things have to be labeled. Like there's no way you get out of, I don't want labels because I want to be all
Some
of this.
people say it and they feel like, well, okay, I don't want to label anything because I want to be free. I just want everything to be free flowing. I want everything to be what it is. But what is it though?
But you
Saying what
so
it is and what is for you.
okay, but so if there's a water moccasin in the backyard, I can call him a puppy. But when he bite me, it's not gonna feel like a puppy, and I'm going to the ER. Like you can call something whatever you want. All you're really doing is not dealing with reality. Like you can say the sun's not the sun, and you can call it a muppet. That is ridiculous. That's the equivalent of saying like, oh well, if you say it in a different language, the shit don't mean nothing.
Yeah. So do you think that they do the labels? Do you think that not labeling something, I should say, it gets away from the accountability or responsibility you're supposed to have for or to a thing?
I think not putting. Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent. Like if I'm picking up what you're putting down, you saying that basically, like for instance, me and you fucking around or something, and you ask me like, be up to like, yo, I want to do something serious. This and that. Like, let's just let it go with the flow. I'm just trying to catch a vibe. I don't want to put a label on it and this and that. And I say that to you, and then you like, well, I just want to. Let's not ruin it. You know, I think that's a lack of accountability. It's a lack of accountability. Like it's really like a lack of accountability when it comes down to it. And people just don't want to like, hey, this is what it is. Because the problem with this is what it is like now you have to be judged on the person that you are. Like for instance, like when I tell you certain things, like there's a lot of things that I do for you because you are my wife, not because I like you, and there's certain things you do for me because I'm your husband. It's not because you particularly like me that day, but it's certain things that I'm entitled to. There's customs, traditions, love, and respect, honor that I'm entitled to because I'm your husband. There's things like I hold the door for you. If I ain't talking to you, I'm gonna open the door. And then I'm gonna wait till you get in. And I won't look and I'll just make sure your leg, as soon as that leg get in, boom, close that goddamn door.
Like slam my damn door.
Like, you know what I mean? So there's certain things that you are entitled to because you're my wife. And that goes back to that speech I had told you about before with about the styrofoam cup when the Undersecretary of Defense, previous Undersecretary of Defense. And if you haven't heard it, look it up on YouTube. It's
you also talked about it on the other podcast.
Okay, yeah. So if I talked about it before, but you can look it up on YouTube. It's a speech about all I am is this cup, right? And that puts things into perspectives about like the label. We get so caught up in the labels and everything else when it's like the label is you're my wife. So since you're my wife, there's certain things that you're accustomed to. It doesn't matter if I like you. It doesn't matter if we're good. It doesn't matter if we're at a good point. As long as you are my wife, there's certain things that I'm supposed to do for you, and I have to make sure financially, mentally, physically, all this shit. I got to make sure that you're okay. Like to a certain extent, there's certain things that I just have to do regardless if I want to do, and the same thing for you. Right. So I think so I think that labels are important for that, and people tend to not want to do labels because they don't want to have to do all that. They want to do the shit when it's convenient because people don't want to do the work.
Right. That's the truth.
It's like, I want to be your man when I'm around, but I don't want to be your man when it requires. Yeah, I don't want to be your man when it requires me to say no to some box at the club. Yeah. You know, so I want to be your man when I'm around, and it's like, oh, it's dope, and you cooking, and you doing this and that. Yeah, I want you when I want you. Yeah, headphones.
Yeah. So it's whenever they want you, that's when they want you, when it's convenient for them, obviously, and that's when it pertains to relationship. Let's see what people in the chat say. David says categorizing sounds better than labeling in some time.
I hate
what categories you think sounds better than labeling.
Well, I think he's just saying using the word categorizing things sounds better than labeling, which I also really like. So words mean something, and I'm one of the fucking kings of beating at home about words mean something when people say words, right? But if you get too thick in the weeds about the little like nuances about things, it's like you just waste so much time trying to come to an agreement. But categorizing might sound better to people, but at the end of the day, it's like the person who it sounds better to, they need to know that. So when I say I'm putting a label on something, and they're like, I prefer categorizing. Fine, you prefer categorizing? Well, I'm categorizing you as fired. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
what category am I in?
Yeah, so
Like,
grab
still,
your pink slip
yeah.
and get your ass up. You can call
That's
it whatever
so
you want. You can call it categorizing. You can call it hot boxing. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But
categorize somebody in relationship.
Take your ass.
You fall in the you're important to me slot, and you fall into not so important slot. Like, what is it?
You fall into the I'm not calling back slot. That shit's terrible. But
some labels fit. Like when we call ourselves an asshole. Some labels fit some people.
But the thing about it is we're not all general assholes. Like people like to say that because it's like this like thing about their personality where they're like, oh well, you know, I'm an asshole. Yeah. And it's like this tough guy shit. Are you an asshole to your kids? No, not really. We might say fuck them kids a lot. Because honestly, fuck them kids. Like they're assholes. But when we use that like oh, I'm an asshole. I'm not an asshole all the time to everybody. I'm not an asshole to my grandmother at all. Like I might give her shit because that's our type of relationship, but like I'm not an asshole. So to my grandmother, so it's like if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. If you use that broad of a label without specifying, like I'm an asshole in this situation, like I'm an asshole in the gym to my wife, but it's required to be an asshole to my wife in the gym.
That's some insecurities that we can't fix. There are some insecurities that we can't fix until they want to adjust the mindset, then it can change it. Right. I agree with that. It's all about whatever it is in your head. Some labels come with different standards, and that's what causes issues with some people. Okay. That's true. What kind of standard you think though? What kind of standard? Different standard. Definitely part of them.
Well, I think that's what he's saying. I think that's definitely what he's saying. Like he's saying the same thing. We saying like, if I don't say you my girl and we just fucking around, it's like when you catch me doing something and I don't have to be accountable, then I could be like, yo, you ain't my girl. Why you tripping? You know what I mean? I did this, I did that. I blah 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 blah. That's Will Talbot over there, but with the heart.
I feel you with that.
But so it's just like I don't want the accountability, right? So like with the standards gonna go up. It's like you my girl, it's like, well, da 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 da. And then when you my fiance, da 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 da. And then when you my wife, it's like boom, 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 boom. Top pinnacle of like I gotta treat you like somebody and I can't go do fuck shit. Like if we just talking and we live together.
And that's all right though, isn't it?
What's all right?
Treating me like somebody and don't doing no fuck shit, right? That's all right.
That's right, Rocky. Rocky in my defense. That's right, blonde ass dog.
Don't do that to him. Leave my baby alone.
Rocky out there just looking regal.
Let's focus, please.
He's so handsome though. But so you deal with it. Yes, it is fine. Yes, it's perfectly fine. I'm happy treating you like somebody. I've never treated you bad. Like I've never treated you like you was nobody. But
you isn't going to.
Give me some time.
Anyway,
smoke your ass. But no, so like people don't really want to deal with all that shit. The labels cause issues because people don't want to do the work. Everybody always wants everybody wants so much and don't want the shit that comes with it. Like when we had a podcast before and we talked about rights and responsibilities, everybody wants their rights from children to adults. Children, I have a right to do this and that. Now my friends tell me I have a right. I got a right to fuck you up. You keep talking to me, right? But people talk about it. I have the right to freedom of speech. You do not have the right to be protected. No, your right is protected to talk. But if you get socked in your snot box, you can't just sit there and talk crazy to people, right? So you have the right to freedom of speech. You do not have the right to freedom of consequences. Freedom of speech, not freedom of consequences. So when a lot of people say that, you have to think about these things and understand that you don't like. You might want all these things, but you don't want to do the work you're doing. You want to be in great shape, but you don't want to eat good and work out twice a day. You don't want to do that. You don't want to intermittent fast, work out twice a day, and eat good. You want instant this and that.
You do, it's still instant
results. And then it's easy. And then the crazy shit is that if you ever been like in great shape or at the pinnacle of anything, don't matter what it is. If you're a weightlifter, if you're a security guard, if you're a mail clerk, if you're a Fortune 500 CEO or whatever, it's a lot easier to get to the pinnacle of anything than it is to maintain that shit. Like it's a lot easier to take over a kingdom. Not saying it's easy to take over a kingdom like back in the day when it was ransacking shit, raping and pillaging. But it was easy to take that shit over than it was to hold it down.
Yeah, even when you move on to the next person, you still have a standard from previous relationships that you expect from the new person. Okay, that's what you mean, David. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha,
Hey,
gotcha.
my bad. Chill out.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Your dog's over there tripping.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something he was.
What do you mean?
It was something he was talking about gaslighting.
Oh, self-gaslighting. Like, when do we know, or when are we going to be accountable for gaslighting ourselves? A lot of times we get into situations, I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm talking about anything about ourselves, right? Whatever we do on a day-to-day basis, could be at work, could be how we treat people in general, and also in relationships. And we tend to self-gaslight. And so a lot of that.
What's an example of self-gaslighting?
So you invalidate yourself, you second guess yourself, right? On a lot of different things. And I think some of that comes from the type of relationships, obviously, that you previously had. I'm not just talking about like romantic relationships, just relationships being your family or whatever the case may be. So we invalidate our own feelings about what it is that we're experiencing. So if we say like, well, the respect that you feel like you deserve. So you're like, well, maybe I'm not worth this and that, or maybe I can't, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just, no, you're invalidating yourself and you are gaslighting yourself in that respect. So I think that we do this all the time. We do it every single day. Really.
Can I get another example?
Another example of you gaslighting.
If you can think something, I mean, I ain't trying to put you on the spot. I'm just kind of like reeling off of that one because I'm kind of split off of what the last one you said. So
yeah,
I haven't like I'm trying to buy into what you're saying.
When you talk about gaslighting, what is gaslighting to you?
Gaslighting to me is when I go and fuck 5 women and then go and tell you some shit. Like you be like, what are all these women for? You acting crazy, baby. Like, oh, you're crazy and shit like that. Like that's what I think of. Like, I think of gaslighting, like the movie from the 70s or something, where it's like, I'm making you think you crazy because you know some shit going on, and I'm fucking with these hoes or something like that. And but I'm trying to gaslight you like that. Okay. Like that's what I think of when I think of gaslighting. Right. Well, that's an example.
Right. Is it your example? And so now, when you're in a relationship with somebody, right, and you see something going on that you know, or something you felt that wasn't correct, right? So you feel this thing inside of you that's completely wrong, right? I know that this is going on. This is how this person is making me feel. This is how this person is making me feel, and this is why this person is making me feel this way. But well, maybe this person, you make excuses for the other person, or maybe this person didn't mean it this way, or maybe this person didn't. You're gaslighting yourself.
I don't know if that's gaslighting.
That is gaslighting.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's kind of like this, right? Like
it's not you doing it it's you doing it to yourself.
Well, no. I get what you're saying about it, doing it to yourself. But for instance, right, like you'll say something to me, and you're a Sagittarius, so you're kind of an asshole, right? Like you'll say things like and you'll think what you say is like okay, but you don't take people's consideration. You don't take how people feel into consideration a lot of times. You just say them like, what I got to sugarcoat it for? I don't know, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm just saying Fox stuff. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this. So I look at you.
Facts, okay, is different. All right. If I'm just telling things the way they're presented,
not my point. Not my point. My point is this: you say something, and then I look at you. So that's like saying that it's gaslight when I say, well, maybe Fox means it this way, even though what she said is obviously fucking offensive. Even though somebody said it's obviously offensive, I'm going to make an excuse for it and be like, oh, well, maybe she doesn't mean it that way. Because there's a difference sometimes. I think I think that's a gray area between making excuses for people and making excuses for people, and then also trying to understand another person's view. Because I think that's a very important part of trying to understand people, is understanding their view.
Right. And so that's fine. You can understand their view, but also don't invalidate yourself in the middle of it. So another example then would be, like if you and I have an argument and
she just touched my penis.
Said something. Stop. I said something to you that was hurtful, something to you that you didn't like, something to you that made you feel wrong inside. And so when you go back to think about whatever it was that was said, you come to realize like, well, maybe it's just you being too sensitive about it. Maybe it's just you acting like a bitch about it. Maybe it's just you. No, you gaslighting yourself.
Well,
you're invalidating your own feelings.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, but I guess this is my devil advocate of it. I can't speak for women. Well, I can speak for men when I say this, that life is supposed to be hard. We're supposed to go through shit, and we're supposed to go through trials and tribulation. And one of the biggest things for a man is to be able to regulate his emotions. Like that's why like the men that you think of when you think of like heroes and when you think of these hero tales, it don't matter if you're talking about Abraham, if you're talking about Clint Eastwood in the Western. Mm-hmm. You're talking about these dudes who were stoic, had their emotions regulated, you know, this, that, and the third. And that's what men are thought to be. So it's not that we can't show emotions. It's not that we can't do everything else. But what we do have to do is understand that men have to be able to regulate their emotions, because the problem that happens is you do not want a world of unregulated men emotions. Because what happens when you get unregulated men emotions?
So when you say stuff like that, are you saying that, okay, so the world would be a better place if men could regulate themselves? But I think that regulation needs to happen for everybody.
I'm not saying what I'm saying is that I'm not going to speak for women, because let me tell you what I've learned from this podcast, and I've learned from dealing with women for 30 some odd years, is that it doesn't matter what I think. I could tell you that fucking water is hot, and it's like, don't tell me what to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to speak for you, but what I can speak for men, because guess what? If a man come to me with a certain level of disrespect, unlike a woman who will hop in these comments and be like, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. Don't talk for women. This, that. Well, guess what? If she see me at Lowe's, I can't punch her in the face. But when fucking Mike or Scott or whomever the hell decides to get real saucy and then he meet me in a lumber aisle, he can get his block knocked off. Right. Like, so I'm gonna just deal with like my perspective as a man is understanding that men have to be able to regulate their emotions, because what happens is the scariest men in the world are men that operate purely off emotion.
Because that's different from what's your comparison between that and self-gaslighting?
Because with self-gaslighting, and when you said if I say, oh, well, maybe I'm being a bitch and this and that, because I think that there's a balance of that a man has to go through to understand what is his limitations and everything of being a man. What are the things that he don't want to dwell upon, because this is stupid. This is small change to a giant. You know what I mean? I have big moves to make. So if you guys
use that, it doesn't mean that that's the correct way to think or to go about that process, because that is gaslighting yourself.
Well, I'm not saying that, like, I'm going from the term where you saying like what a man feels, because self-gaslighting yourself, sure, we could change all the terms, but at the end of the day, if a dude feels some type of way, like I feel like I got disrespected, I feel like this, and it don't matter if I say, well, I feel like I got disrespected, or if I say I feel like a bitch because I let homeboy get one and I want my lick back. Either or is the same thing for my feelings. So me saying I feel like a bitch because of that, or I feel as though that's low-hanging fruit and I don't need to address that, I feel like that's a more positive way to say it. But at the end of the day, the feelings are still the same. You get what I'm saying? Like
I don't get what you're saying. Because
like, okay, like if you say something, like if you said something and I got offended by it, right? And I said, oh, I don't want to address it. I don't want to address it because I don't want to be a bitch. That's the same as me saying that's low-hanging fruit to a giant. Like, that's me saying I'm a fucking god. I ain't got to worry about the weather. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to worry about this, that, and the third. So in reality, it's the same thing. This is me regulating my emotions to say that what you just said, you didn't mean to offend me, but it bothered me for some reason. So I need to self-regulate myself as a man and not get off into the weeds about that and spend the whole day on that. That's, to me,
so I think you're saying like how you do it though.
No, I'm saying that there's a difference. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's a difference. I'm saying that it's the same thing. I just worded it different. Like you would say that if I said I'm a bitch, that's self-gaslighting, right? If I said I don't like this,
you saying you're a bitch for how you feel about whatever.
You did something. I got offended. I'm telling you. Well, I'm not telling you. I'm just sitting into myself and I'm thinking like, man, now I'm being a bitch. Shake it off. And now you're looking at that as self-gaslighting. But let me say, if I reworded it to say, I got other shit, I got bigger fish to deal with, bigger fish to fry. That's not a priority. That's not the alligator closest to the canoe. Let me deal with the immediate threats that I have, because that's not important right now.
But that's not the same thing. It's saying, even if you was to say, okay, well, I think I'm too sensitive for this, or maybe I'm being too sensitive, or, oh, I'm being a bitch. That's not the same thing as saying, oh, I got bigger fish to fry. That's not the same thing.
The actions are the same on the back end. And this is one of the things to be different. This is one of the things about this isn't a gaslighting thing. This is like a lot of times, like we're just different. Like one of the things that women so have to understand is that we're different. God didn't make us to be the same. He made us to balance each other. We're different. So when a man looks at it, when I say some shit, I'm like I say that shit to myself in the gym. Stop being a bitch. I'm not gaslighting myself. I want to do another 2 reps.
So when you're trying to do that to motivate yourself, is different, right? And that's what you're talking about. But let me use the example when we have an argument or something, disagreement, whatever you want to call it, and you do your introspection and you're like, well, maybe it's not. Maybe I am the one that's taking this overboard. Maybe I am the one that's being a little bit too sensitive about it. It's not that serious, but it's something that actually hurts you. So you're invalidating yourself.
I'm not.
That's
not
what it
invalidating
is.
myself.
So you don't believe what you're not staying true to what it is that you feel.
That's
inside.
not true. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that me saying that maybe, like, so let's take out the maybe I'm being a bitch, because obviously that's going to get people panties in a bunch or some shit like that. But what I'm gonna say
manties.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna say is this. So all right, so you say that so we had the conversation. I feel some type of way, and then I say like, oh, well, maybe I'm being a bitch about it. This and that. That's not me being a bitch. That's me trying to be a reasonable person. Some shit that a lot of times most people don't have to understand and say, hey, let me be a reasonable person, play devil's advocate, and see if I'm fucking tripping or not. That's self-regulation. That's me looking at different opinions and trying from the best of my retrospective and my experience to look at like, well, maybe this is how she feels. Maybe this is how it feels. Maybe I'm tripping, because people should say maybe I'm tripping, because the problem is too many people think I'm not tripping and then go off on a deep end and they on some Kanye West shit wilding or something like that, because it's like, well, I'm not tripping. I got to address my feelings. No, you do have to address your feelings. So me addressing how it made me feel with you is okay. That's okay. But me addressing that I might be tripping, that's also okay. That's me regulating my feelings to think that I'm not always right. What happens a lot of times with all this psychobabble time and age is that people go through some shit, feel some type of ways. They learn a couple little words like narcissist and self-reflection and a couple of things. They go to a couple therapy sessions or something like that. And then all of a sudden they think they got everything figured out and everybody else is fucked up. No, you might be the fucking problem. And the biggest thing that a person can do is understand that you are the problem. Because I know for men, when men understand that they're the problem, fucking 50% of their issues go away, whether it's chasing pussy, whether it's fucking doing dumb shit, whether it's gambling, whether it's drugs, whether it's whatever it is, 50% of their problems go away when a man understands that he's fucked up.
So I think the actualization or the reflection period is different from you saying or ignoring those things that you feel inside, that or not being able to express those things. So regardless of what you feel, you still have to say those things instead of not turning away from it. Because that don't mean that your process is healthy of whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you feel like, oh, we need to self-regulate and this is how we do it, that don't mean that it's a healthy process.
But that's exactly what I said when I said me addressing how something made me feel to you. That's healthy. But me taking those feelings and being like, oh, well, you're wrong. So this and that, me coming at you and telling you, Fox, you're fucking wrong. This and that, da, 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 it's not going to wield the same results as like, Fox, I'm going to tell you, this made me feel some type of way because I took the time to self-regulate myself and not let my skirt go up and my fucking bitch hang out. Right. So I decided to go ahead and self-regulate myself and think about this. So now I come to you calm and I don't come to you full of piss and vinegar. And I'm like, hey, Fox.
So that's
this bothered me.
Whether you come to me with piss and vinegar or you come to me, the thing about the gaslighting is that you don't do anything about it at all.
Well, okay, well then I might have just went completely off because I think I missed that part about gaslighting is I don't do anything. Okay,
you don't do anything at all. Like you invalidate yourself and just sit with that, and that's it.
Okay,
you know?
Yeah, then I went completely off the deep end. You could have stopped this 30 minutes ago.
It's hard to stop you when you're going.
I stopped a couple times when you got in there and was like,
so I'm trying to get you to see my point. But
no, you should have just hit with that gaslighting. If you don't do nothing about it at all, take the action out of it. Well, we talking about man shit. I'm a man. No. I'm about action.
And anyway, it doesn't matter because, like I was saying, it doesn't mean your process of what self-regulating. It doesn't matter if it's not the healthy way to do it.
You can't tell me So for the like, there's certain things that you can't tell me whether or not there's healthy or not. Healthy is depending on what I'm trying to do. Example is this, right? It's like, so if you look at me and you look at like, so boom, so certain athletes, right? They have a wildly low heart rate. Like I'm talking about their resting heart rate is wildly low. Like
your resting heart rate is wildly low.
It's not.
You on a damn elliptical and you going like.
That's not my resting heart rate. That's my working heart rate.
Well, even at that, still,
yeah.
I can imagine if that and you worked up doing. Come on.
My resting heart rate is like 60. That's pretty normal. Possibly, I don't know.
No,
but we'll have to look it up. But what I'm saying is that their resting heart rate is wildly low. Their resting heart rate is wildly low because they're such great athletes. Mm-hmm. That, you know what I mean, there's such great condition that they when they're not doing anything, their heart works at bare minimum. Because really our heart works at like bare minimum for when we just sitting around. Mm-hmm. Like right now, we going back and forth, we drinking this and that. Our heart rate probably somewhere in the 80s, 90s.
Mine?
Your heart rate might be 240. But mine is probably like somewhere around 80, like 90. Actually, I can check my heart rate. But what I'm saying is that's not healthy. Having a super low heart rate, that's not healthy for some people. But given a different circumstance, that is healthy. That's healthy for these dudes who work at these sports and stuff like that because they're in such great shape. It fits for them. So a lot of times, sometimes people say like, this isn't healthy. Maybe it's healthy for what I need to do. You know what I mean? So the way that I might handle things, and maybe I tell myself that like, oh, stop being a bitch, this and that, da, da, da. But if I'm successful, I'm like, I go to therapy, I'm doing all the other things to go, but that's maybe just how I get myself going by telling myself like, maybe don't be a bitch. And that's just the way I talk, because it's like words mean something, but intention means more. Words mean something, but intention means more. Okay. So like, it depends on what the intention is behind it.
Okay. Keep that in mind.
No, I'm gonna keep that in mind with self-regulation. I don't know what you mean. You watch your fucking mouth.
Mine, okay? But my intentions were good.
I don't give a shit. Okay. Your words is what I hear.
No,
I know my intentions,
but it's the intentions behind it.
No,
just like
it's my intention. I know the words that come out my mouth. I know my intentions. I don't know your intentions.
But I'm telling you what my intentions are. I always have good intentions.
Let's go ahead and use labels. Asshole.
Anyway, and David, you see what you started already? All right, here we go.
Sometimes you gotta call him an asshole.
Willie said, I ain't never heard of self-gaslighting. You should look it up, Willie.
Hey, just because they put that shit on the internet don't mean it's true.
Time. You probably do it to yourself all the time. Or talk to your therapist about it. So I guarantee you, he or she will tell you that is a thing. And we do it all the time, like for everything. We second guess ourselves all the time, even though we know what we feel.
I think so. Words mean something with that. Like second guess yourself. You should second guess yourself. Like for instance, if I'm going to take a shot, right? Like if I decide to get out and I decide, you know what I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go be a sniper for the SWAT team. And you know what? And I see somebody sitting there, and this dude got 2 babies in a hostage.
No, so let me clarify for you. Yes. Second guessing your feelings of being hurt or feeling rejected or feeling whatever it is that someone else, whatever the situation was, has made you feel. Second guessing those things or not being true to how you feel, that is a form of self-gaslighting.
I don't.
All right, not addressing that. Not
addressing
that.
it. I agree.
There you go.
Not addressing.
Not addressing.
Second guessing.
That you're not being true for what you.
If I second guess, that's not about being true. That's about me being sure.
No. So when you do that, so the idea of it is what
you over there.
No, because you just jumping in. So the idea of it is for you to realize what's going on with you. You realize what's going on with you and you express those things, but you realize what's going on with you and you don't say anything about it. And then you're like, well, now it becomes a habit, right? And when it becomes a habit, then every choice that you decide to make is kind of, you counter yourself all the time. Like, well, I shouldn't do this because I'm not this. It troubles with your self-worth as well. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm trying to say. It just
what I'm saying is like,
and that's the second guessing part.
Well, what I'm saying is like, that's not the second guessing part. That's the doing something with it part. Second guessing yourself is fine. I don't think there's a problem with second guessing yourself. I second guess myself every time I measure a piece of wood, and I measure it twice. That's second guessing myself instead of just being like, I know this is 7 3/16. And I made up for the blade whip. So that's what I'm saying is like, I understand when you say the action or not doing anything with it. That I agree with. That is self-gaslight. When you decide to hold that shit, eat it, and not do nothing with it at all. But when you talk about second guessing yourself, second guessing yourself. When I think of second guessing myself, it's like, yo, I come down in any point of life. It's like if I'm coming down dribbling a basketball, running with a football, and I second guess myself, I'm cutting a piece of wood. If I'm welding, if I'm about to shoot a rifle, it's like if I second guess myself, that's not necessarily a problem. That means I'm making sure, right? Like, so when I talk about second guess, it's like second guess. Is the windage this and that? Did I calculate that right? Cool.
So,
Boom.
no, so it's not about things. It's about your feelings. It's about how
I think that you should also
you
do that with your feelings, because it's like, you know how much better I know engineering than I know my feelings. Like, people can talk about feelings and say, well, I know this, I know that. I know measurements way better. I know science, I know math way better than I know my feelings. My feelings I have to think about. I don't have to think about what's the square root of pi.
I slap you in your shit right now.
I have to think about that. That's a feeling. Because you slapped me in my shit. I have to think about that, because my first feeling is.
So what you gonna say? You gonna be like, oh well, Fox, let me see. Oh, maybe I did something wrong to make her do this to me, or maybe you gaslighting yourself. I slapped you.
If you hesitate,
I slapped you.
Okay,
What's
this
good?
is no, because the only way that it's not a hesitation, the only way it's a hesitation is if you smack me and immediately I knock your nose ring out your face.
No, that's not. No,
that would be no second guess.
No,
but what I'm saying, the reason I second guess it because I'm going to say, one, that shit ain't hurt. First thing,
my slap's gonna hurt, baby. Trust me.
Let me tell you something. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna throw your shoulder out, weak ass shoulders.
I'm gonna backhand you.
Let me tell you something. You smack me with my ring, I'm taking it back. But I bought that motherfucker. So, but what I'm saying is like, if the second guess is like me thinking like my first reaction is to punch you in your shit. But the second guess is what's going to keep me from going away in a police car.
That's not. It's not the reaction. It's not the reaction. It is. You're missing the point about this. Let me see how I can explain to you.
Girl feelings.
All right. So if I was to do something to you that hurt you, right? The second guessing is not your reaction to what happened, right? It is you telling yourself that this didn't happen in this way.
No.
It is you believing. It is you invalidating.
Yes, believing, yes.
Right. You ain't telling yourself, because you gotta tell yourself this in order to believe it.
No. What I'm saying is these are the two things I agree with you. If you say that I'm self-invalidating myself by telling myself something, no, because I can tell myself something, maybe I'm tripping. That's questioning myself. Second guessing and questioning myself is valid, because I should second guess and question myself before making any big decision. That is a being an adult. But when I decide to what is right about what you said, and a better way to prepare it for somebody like me to digest it is to say,
you was quite special.
Okay, cool. I'm important.
Yes, you are.
I'm important. But what I'm saying is, for me to digest that better is to say, hey, the fact that you took that and you just swallowed that inside and didn't do anything to it to vent that steam off or something like that, that is digestible for me to say, like, hey, if you felt that way and then you convince yourself you wasn't that way because you didn't want to deal with the problem, because maybe it's easier. Want to deal with the problem. And that's different. But that is different than saying that, like, oh, I second guess myself. I second guess myself every goddamn day. I don't woke up. Think about if I ain't second guess myself. I don't woke up, had a dream about you cheating on me. I grabbed the pillow and I thought about suffocating your ass. You know why you still alive? Because I second guessed myself. So be happy.
You thought about smothering me in my sleep? No, this is recorded. Just letting y'all know. So if anything happens, you know who did it. That's all I'm saying.
Don't say that, because there's a whole lot of people who know she an asshole. It ain't just me.
Hey, it ain't got nothing to do with your confessions. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm in this broadcast.
You done confessed already.
I'm just saying, but like, that's what second guessing is. Second guessing is doing that. But what you're talking about is invalidating my feelings to the point where I say, well, my feelings don't mean anything. Questioning myself and second guessing is valid. And I'm not even gonna speak for the woman's behalf, but I feel for every fucking man listening to this that it is valid for a man to second guess his feelings so that you can self-regulate. Now, before you
go there, I would say, to even clarify more, since you're talking about what I said to you and how you have to second guess that, I would just say it's not really about.
Bang! You hit me in my face earlier. Now I thought about it.
Nah, you thought about it. So it's not really about, like the action of it, right? Or the reaction that you have, like I was saying. So it's about So are you saying you second guess yourself about how you feel? That's what I'm saying. So the action or whatever is done to you, you can't ignore that feeling. Okay. You can't say that, oh, well, you're just going to play it off and not do anything about those things, because you should do something about those things, because those are your feelings and they're valid. Right. So that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that second guessing is like, well, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. No, it's not about the do. It's not about the do.
All I'm telling you is to make sure that you understand it. It actually is about the do. You're saying it wrong, because it actually is about, because it's what I do with those emotions afterwards. Like, do I do anything? Like, even regardless, like you're talking about, like, oh, it's not about the do. It is about the do.
Not the reaction. I'm saying, like, oh, you slap me, I'm gonna slap you back. No, that's not what I'm talking about. The do. How that made you feel.
Well, the do is what do I do with that after I feel that way?
Well, yeah. So that would be the do.
That's the do when I'm talking about the do. But I'm not talking about the reaction either.
The second guessing is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the second guessing in that way. I'm just saying to question about how you feel about what happened to you. You should not ignore that. You should move forward for that. All right, we're not focused. Anyway, let's go back to the
I am focused. I love you.
You gotta can't make that shit up for today.
I do have a can't make this shit up. Should I blow this? I almost feel like I should hold this one to the next podcast.
Okay.
Fucking true.
All right.
It's about a 6-year-old boy who shot his teacher.
Okay.
You want to talk about it? Nah, we already an hour in. Let's go and get this gun in your head.
All right, so we're about to get the gun to your head, right?
You remember where the button at?
Oh. Gun to your head. Would you rather be a necrophile, a pedophile, or a zoophile?
Necrophile is dead people. Pedophile is kids. Zoophile is animals.
I guess so. Let's see.
I'm just thinking because necrophilia is fucking dead people. Pedophilia is obviously fucking kids. Yeah, zoophilia, I would imagine, is children. I mean, pedophilia is children. I said it right the first time. Yes, zoophilia is the animal.
Zoophilia is animal. We had the gun to your head, guys. The gun to your head question is: would you rather be a necrophile, a pedophile, or a zoophile? Gun to your head. Gun to your head, those of you jumping in the chat. Would you rather be a necrophile, a pedophile, or a zoophile? Necrophile, pedophile, or zoophile? Necrophile.
Now you say what you got, and then I get into my answer.
It would definitely be a necrophile for me. I would definitely be.
You out here fucking that rigor mortis dick. We talked about it on the previous podcast. Yeah, fucking hooer.
Like podcast 2 or something.
Yeah, you out here getting that rigor mortis dick.
It's stiff.
Stiff hard.
That's the way I like it. It's stiff.
Yo, why would it be necrophilia for you? Or necro, whatever they call it.
It's stiff. That's why.
That's wild.
I don't like animals. Okay.
No. You done.
I don't like.
You said because it's stiff. No, you leaned in with it's stiff. My reason was because I don't want because they're dead, and I was like, you know what? If I have to suffer,
that's my gut.
Wow, my reasons.
What's your reason?
It don't even matter, man. You are.
Oh my God! On the poll, 42 people said a zoophile. Wow.
42 people was trying to get that leopard pussy.
They're sick.
Leopard pussy.
That is sick.
That's why. My thing is this.
Oh my God.
I don't know, man. I be thinking that like this is like I have kids. I have pets. I couldn't even imagine doing that. If I had to do one, I'm about to go fuck some random dead body.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to do either.
I would want the fresh dead ones, though. I don't want. Well, no, rigor mortis have to set in. So okay. So, and the last time we did this, we talked about something similar. It was the can't make that shit up. Was the mortician? No, she wasn't a mortician. She was a pathologist who was pregnant from a corpse. Who ended up being pregnant from the corpse, and the family was suing her. Yes. So this man had been dead. She got on, did her thizzle, got pregnant from him.
Real hot girl shit.
I don't even know how the family found out. I don't even know. She probably said it in talking to one of her homies at the lab.
They saw the baby, and the baby was like,
no, the baby wasn't born. They sued her. So I don't know.
That
I have to
shit's
follow
sued.
up
Real
on
hot girl
that to see what happened. But that is weird. That's crazy. But gun to my head, though, that's what I'll be doing.
She going out here just because she likes stiff dick.
No animals, no kids. Okay. We
Yo.
gotta save our babies.
Horses got stiff dicks. Why don't you go and try that?
Nah.
Get your bottom blown out.
They animals. I don't want to do no animals. I can't do it. Give me regular humanoid penises.
That's not it. Top left. Damn, rookie. I'm in my first time on the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Nothing, ma'am.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all already know what time it is. We appreciate all your participation and support. As always, hit us up at unclelegend@gmail.com.
Peace.
What?
Coco sounded like she giving that Coke 3000 over there.
What is she doing? She choking?
Drinking water.
Oh.
Yo, we ain't doing overtime today. Y'all have a great night. Peace. You want overtime?
No.
Oh,